Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. We're here with Doc Blaylock. How you doing?
I am well. Let me make sure I mute the YouTubes there.
Oh,
There we go.
yeah.
I
Where
thought,
were we? Where did we meet? What we were both on a panel, and we were talking, and I thought we had a.
well, we were both in the lockup. If you'll remember, it was a Friday night. We were in the drunk tank, and turns out we both had YouTube channels, and so
Yeah, I thought we agreed we weren't going to talk about that night.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't supposed to
You
mention.
still have the tattoos that we can't show on.
Shh, shh. My wife doesn't know about that yet.
Oh,
It's getting hard to hide that place from her. So no, I don't remember who's streaming. I think maybe it was Rex's.
I forget. We were on a stream, and we just started talking. I don't know, hit it off, and I always feel bad when I'm on a panel and there's like six guys and I invite one guy on my channel and then the other six guys are like, what?
Yeah, what am I, chopped liver here? Just saying, I can provide you with some content.
Yes. So how's everything go? It's good to talk to you again.
You too, bud. I mean, I'm doing all right. I've got since COVID 2 years ago. I never got hay fever before, but after COVID, now I'm susceptible. So every time I get out and work in the yard a little bit, I'm a train wreck for an hour or two. So
Oh, I hate doing like chores around the house, fixing stuff. But for some reason, like yard work doesn't seem to bother me. I don't know. And now that I have my own house, I'm like, I'm looking. I was telling my wife, oh wow, I get to throw seed down on the lawn pretty soon.
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm the Black Sabbath neighbor, meaning I take out my radio and I blast Black Sabbath when I'm doing lawn work.
I
Old guy with a beard and generals gathered in their message.
I I take a lot of pride in my lawn. All right. But not this past January, but the January before, we got hit by the big tornadoes that came through here.
Where are you?
Just south of Atlanta.
Okay.
And when I say we got hit, I mean we got hit. The tornado got us. 5 huge oak trees down. One on the roof. One that shared 3 trunks on one root ball came down on my shed, my fence, whatever, and then one more on the far side of the house. So all well and good. The cleanup happens. Blah blah blah. What they don't tell you, John, this pertains to yard work, is that tornadoes reseed everything. So I went from a pristine lawn to every weed known to man and growing in my yard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So now I've got clover, ragweed, daffodils, dandelions, you name it, I got it. But I discovered this. When you chop it down, it's all green.
Yeah, my lawn. I bought the house from an old timer. He was like in his 80s, and so the lawn wasn't the highest priority for him. And and I've been living in an apartment, so for decades. And then I moved to that. I look at the neighbors across the street. I'm like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? I water, I put seed down,
It takes a long time for a lawn to get traction. The good news is once it does, it's kind of there. It's good for a while.
Yeah. No, I enjoy it. We got this huge tree in front of my house, and it's in danger now that we might have to start thinking about cutting it down.
No,
which is a shame because it's a big, beautiful tree, but a lot of limbs are dead. You know what I mean? So I think the tree is dying. But I told my wife, I was like, we'll cut it down, but I want to leave 10 feet high. Just cut it, and then I want to carve a big throne just on my, because it's a big one, and just carve like a wooden throne and just sit on my lawn and read comics. My wife was like, that would be so cool. So they that's all you need to know about my wife.
Hey, if your wife's on board with it, I say roll. Get
Cool
your
idea.
throne.
Yeah,
Get your throne.
I'll practice chainsaw.
We lost, like I said, those 5, but then in the front yard, one of my pecan trees, and then one of the I think it was a dogwood on the front of. Anyway, those came down. And my wife took one of the stumps, the forwardmost one, and she turned it into a little gnome garden. So the gnomes get dressed seasonally. July the 4th, there was an American flag. Easter, they had an Easter egg. So, whatever. Hey, what's up? Ray is in the chat. What's going on, buddy?
How you doing, Ray? A Facebook user. Is this Jimmy? If this is Jimmy, just say yes. One of my buddies. Yeah. So I when I bought this house, I wanted a garage or a basement, and this house has both. So I was like, when they were showing me the house, I'm like, you want to go downstairs? I'm like, there's a basement. I wanted to have like a game room. I'm in the basement in the game room, but the garage, it was all like there must have been a fire in the garage like years ago, and it just looked like, I don't know, like smoke down. So I fixed it all up. You see this blue, it's got all sheetrock and it's all painted blue. My garage is so nice. And it's a workshop. And I'm like, I always wanted, I got a bench, I got all my tools, I even got a TV in there. And then I don't do it. And then I don't do the stuff that I want to do, So I told myself this year I'll start doing my artsy stuff.
Yeah,
like I want to learn how to make molds and pour concrete in it and make little statues. And I want to hide them around my. Did you ever see Spirited Away? Studio Ghibli Spirited Away. They have these little like spirit stone things. I want to make those and hide them throughout my lawn.
Nice.
So when like you don't see them, but then when like you're hanging out, you're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's the spirit. That's a little stone spirit."
So this room was just a spare bedroom. And for a long time, my buddy that I served with in the military, he needed a place while they were rebuilding his house. Fire burned him out. So he stayed here for a while.
That's my biggest fear these days.
Yeah. So this became, after he left, it was my art studio. And this whole art studio is set up for painting. I think you can see tubes of paint over here. And there's the easel back there, blah, blah, blah. Nowhere to draw. And I'm drawing comics now. So my wife said, you have an art studio. There's no reason you should have taken over the living room, the den, and the dining room. No,
there's a good reason. I wanted to.
I needed a room. Yeah. But now I'm working digitally, which means chained to this desk and this computer all day, every day. John, it's not a comfortable chair to sit in for that long.
This chair is comfortable.
I've got to invest.
I want to sit in this chair all day long. I do not want to leave my house at 4:30 in the morning and go to work. I want to sit my fat ass in this chair all day long, write comic book scripts, read comic books, and avoid the world. I'm down in the basement. I can't hear. There could be a storm right now. I don't hear it. My wife will come down. Oh my God, it's bad outside. I'm like, well, then sit down here. The weather doesn't exist down here.
That's right. That's right. That's the one thing I miss here as opposed to my old place. I had a full basement in the other place. No basement here. So when that tornado came, I already had the wife in the hallway bathroom, And before the sirens went off, I felt the barometric pressure just bottom out. And it got weirdly quiet. I didn't hear no damn train. It got weirdly quiet for a second. And I knew. So I said, get in the tub, honey. And she and I are both old. She goes, I don't know if I can. I threw her in there, jumped on top of her. It happened and it was gone because they come back quick.
Yeah.
And it was gone.
That must have been scary.
No, there was no time to be scared. It was what's the word I'm looking for? There's a little bit of shock when it was over and you go outside and see what it did, Trees are down. The back window of the car was smashed out, had a big limb through it. But we were blessed.
My wife is from Winnipeg, so she doesn't, and now we're in New York and Long Island, and there's hurricanes. So whenever there's even talk of a hurricane, you could just see it in her face. She panics, And I grew up with it. They can be scary, but for the most part, what are you going to do? Worry about it? Don't worry. It's not going to change the effect. So I tend not to worry about things. Right. I always say this to my wife. When it's time to worry about it, we'll worry about it. It's not time to worry about it. And she hates when I say that.
Yeah.
But when Sandy happened, we were living in an apartment building in Flushing. Mm-hmm. I didn't know beforehand, and I always seek out like the highest places. Like I was in the highest place in Queens when we lived. There's no floods, and now I'm like in one of the highest places, Long Island. There's no floods by me either. And then out in Queens, it looked like a fort. It was just this solid brick building. So I was like, where can I find? My wife set up a cot, moved the dining room table, and put the cot against the inside wall, next to the hallway, and that's where she slept. I slept in the bed. I was like, sit, and I woke up. She didn't sleep. She's like, oh, I was like, I slept like a baby, and I drove to work. And where I lived, there was nothing. In Flushing, Queens, there was really nothing. And then I drove to work, and a couple of porta potties were knocked over. It was a construction site, and I got to work, and I'm just sitting down. And normally you wait for the foreman. You just wait for the foreman. He'll give you a job assignment, and I'm like, 7:15. Normally there's 100. And I started at that point. I was bringing books to work, and I'm just reading my book, and now I don't even realize how into the book I'm getting because I'm reading now for like 40 minutes, and now I'm like, am I the only one?
Where is everybody?
I'm the old, and I'm walking around. I was the only one on a job site. Oh, that was creepy, and I'm walking around, and there was just two. There's like 20 porta potties. 3 of them were knocked over. And you could pull your car right up to the job site of this particular job. So I'm like, what's going on? And then finally somebody else showed up and he goes, oh yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I remember that. I mean,
there was nobody at work. Like, I was like, do I go home? Do I work? Like, what do I do? So
right.
I ended up going home because there was nobody there. And then I turned on the news, and then I found out my brother's house is underwater. My sister's house is underwater. Everybody out on the island, they wouldn't even let us drive.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god! Like I'm like, I didn't realize how it was just another storm.
How did that go again?
Yeah. And then stupid me, 9/11. I'm living in New York. I was a school teacher at the time, and we get a call. Hey, Phil Smith, could you send Phil Smith? I can't, Phil. I guess your mom's picking you up. Because I'm in a classroom. We don't have a cell phone. I don't have a TV. I got second graders. You know what I mean? So we're just doing a lesson, and the kid leaves. I'm like, oh, that was okay, all right, whatever. And then 5 minutes later, could you send down Karen Jones? I'm like, okay, Karen Jones gets a jacket. I'm like, see ya. And then I hear a teacher yelling in the hallway. She's telling everybody what's happening. I opened the door. I'm like, I got a class. I had no clue. And then third period, I had my free period. And I'm like, I am so hungry. And I'm paying no attention to teachers crying. I'm like that because I'm hungry, And I drive to the deli, and I walk into the deli, and everybody's got their backs and they're to the counters. They're watching the TV. So I walk in, I just see I'm like, hey, what do I got to do? Get a ham sandwich? Totally oblivious. Totally. People turn on, tears in their eyes. I'm like, what is going? And then I just happened to see the tower fall down I'm like, what are you watching? I had no freaking clue. We didn't get home till like 7:00 that night because a lot of the kids' parents couldn't get home from work.
Right.
But just me, oblivious to natural and attacks and stuff like Sandy. I'm at work, not a care in the world,
just oblivious to the world around you.
That's And so that's the same thing going on Twitter. This guy's fighting with this guy. This guy's going, and I'm just like, hey, I love this comic book. Anybody want to talk about? Oh, everybody hates each other. I didn't know this.
So Kirby says to ask Doc the epic tale of how I lost all my hair. Well, I mean, all right, it's funny, but it's true. Kirby called me up. He was stranded at work. He didn't have a ride home, so he asked would I come get him. I said, yeah, I'll come pick you up. So we're riding down the road. I got a full head of hair, but the fuse is blown to every electronic inside my car, and he lets one rip, and I can't put the windows down. And the hair's just gone. I mean, just like that. So I lost my hair to Kirby's stank ass.
Well, if we're going to tell stank ass stories, I'll never forget my father takes the station to the train station. He would take the Long Island Railroad to work. And he comes home, comes in the house, and I was like, hey, it was one of those rare occasions we're going to go get pizza. We're going to go to the pizzeria and sit down and have pizza. I love that when you get a fresh pizza on the metal pan. They cut it right in front of you. The pizza loses something in that box coming home. So I'm like, all right, my little brothers and sisters, my mother, we all get in the car. Oh my God. My father starts laughing. He goes, I fought in the train station and rolled up all the windows because I knew we were going to the pizzeria. So that's the kind of family that I have.
Well, I won't go into it here, but my father had the gastric bypass surgery done. The side
Okay.
effect of that is chronic flatulence. For 10 years of my life, my father could fart his alma mater. He could fart the national anthem. He could peel paint. It was horrific, but hysterical at the same time. So now, years later, as a as a father myself, and my youngest son, who's now 32, he was like 15 at the time. He tooted. He started laughing. He said, "Dad, is there ever going to be a time when farting's not funny?" I said, "No, son, there will never be a time.
No. I sent
Never."
my foreman a song about farting today, and
Yeah,
yeah,
old
my
men in the nursing homes, let them rip, and they laugh for hours.
my foreman is this mean faced, never in the military, but he looks like the stereotypical drill sergeant. He's got the crew cut, and he's he might as well be, because we got 30 guys who don't want to do anything, and he's yelling at the ball. He's that way because he has to be that way. And then I sent him a video about a song about farting, and he looks at me.
So just so you know, fellas, if you're out there and someone,
We're not talking comics. It's farts tonight.
yeah,
Farts
if anybody's trying to guilt you into thinking that flatulent isn't funny, don't let them.
No,
It's funny because God had a sense of humor, and He installed that noisemaker just for our amusement.
Yep. I watched the video on the train of babies farting and laughing. Babies. They I'm talking infants.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, we can look.
Yeah.
We can talk.
That is Fart
we can
Hour,
talk
brought to you by Beans and Coffee.
Look, I'm craving coffee so bad right now.
Oh,
Man.
you don't drink coffee?
I'm an addict, man. Are you crazy? I'll drink more coffee than any 10 people combined.
I come home from work, I make a pot of coffee, I drink the entire pot of coffee, and then I still go to bed around 9:30 and sleep like a baby.
That was the second thing that COVID did to ruin my life. I used to drink coffee right up until bedtime, lay down and go to sleep. Now, after 4 or 5, I can't have coffee anymore. Sharding, not so funny. No, sharding, I mean,
Sharting is funny as long as it's other people.
Yeah, if it happens to someone else, it's funny.
Yeah, if you shart, it's funny to me.
When you see your buddy penguin walking to the porta potty, it's funny. But yeah,
oh my!
We get up.
I don't know how crude we're gonna get, but I could give you a funny. We got porta potties on the job. Oh, go ahead. I am interrupted you. Go ahead. Finish.
No. I was just going to say we get up at 4:30 here every day by choice. John was lamenting backstage that he has to. He can't wait to retire and sleep in. I stayed in that habit. So we get up at 4:35 at the latest. First pot of coffee. The wife gets the lion's share out of it because she's not retired yet, so she's still boogieing out to her job. And she takes John.
That's got to be nice to watch her go off to work.
Bye. Yeah, she's got one of these big Yetis, and it's just filled with. It's almost a whole pot. So I get a cup and a half out of the pot. Make another pot. That pot's just for me. That's my morning wake up pot. I enjoy the hell out of that pot more than the first cup. And then I put on the next pot. This is pot number 3. And that's my come back here and start working. I'm sitting here drawing and I'm drinking coffee. And you write, so you put it down and it goes cold. Son of a bitch. So I got to go back and get some more.
Coffee has to be hot. I can't stand these people drink iced coffee. I don't get it.
So the trick to that, by the way, is one, if you can get a coffee pot, keep it right here on your desk. I'm doing that this year.
Right over there.
Yeah. But if you don't do that, never pour more than half a cup, boys and girls. So it's hot when you get to the bottom. You just go get some more. If you pour a whole cup, you're wasting half of it. So don't do that. But yeah, the coffee stays going all the time.
I drink the whole cup quick, but I'll tell you, I never pour more than half a beer because beer will get warm before I finish it. And beer has to be ice cold.
Yes. It's amazing to me that ice cold beer is delicious. Anything less than that, and it's the most putrid substance you've ever tasted in your life.
Yes, absolutely. It has to be so cold that you're in danger of getting brain freeze.
It takes your breath away cold. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. And when I open up the fridge and I see that there's like frost on the bottle, I don't care what I want a beer. But if the smelling of room temperature beer makes me gag. Yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
It's not good.
Well, we got more in common, guys. This is what unites us: farts, cold beer, hot
and
coffee.
That's it, baby.
That's the name of our show.
That's it.
Farts,
I mean,
Farts, coffee, and beer. How's that,
Th-
ladies and gentlemen? No more
those may
comments.
those may be the manliest topics ever discussed on the internet. I'm just saying. And we did the trifecta, you know. So John, I had a question for you.
Okay.
I had a question for you. One, that Captain America shield behind you, is it to scale? I can't tell.
Yes.
Both of them. I see both.
Yes, both of them are to scale, and they're kind of fragile. It was I got it probably about 20 years ago. There was a company that just made Marvel props, Marvel and DC props. So this came out like 10, 15 years before even the Marvel movie. It's tin, and it's easy. Or not tin, it's aluminum rather. So it's very fragile. So I hardly ever take it down, and I hardly ever move it. But I will, and in the inside, it's got leather straps and it's got felt. It's really nice. But I've seen better ones. Now that the movie's so I don't want to replace it, but it was good for what it is. But I've seen other ones, and then I've seen one advertised online where a guy was actually using it like punching trees and stuff. I'm like, that can't be real.
So you haven't thrown it to try to ricochet it
no,
off?
No, if this fell in, if either one of these fell an inch, they would be damaged. Matter of fact, if you go to Midtown Comics in Manhattan, they have this one hanging up over the stairs, and it's all chipped and beat up just from people touching it.
Oh man,
it's real. This has stayed remarkably good because I barely touch it. I hung it up. When I first got it, I was living at my parents' house. I just started a job and I had to move back home. I hung it up, and then when I got my apartment, I hung it up. I stayed in that apartment for like 20 years, and then when I got here, I hung it up. So it's only been really touched like 3 times.
There you go. That's how you preserve it, right there.
And the same company made this Green Lantern thing, but you can't tell because my camera's not that great, but the paint is chipping off it. So I if anybody knows, if anybody's hand, like I would really like to strip the paint off of it and then just repaint it. Because
is it metal?
The Green Lantern thing I'll touch because that's not that fragile.
So if it's metal, I would say get it powder coated.
This one, the old Alan Scott one, yeah. You see how the paint is all chipping off it?
Yeah.
It's like weird. I don't. It's definitely not metal. It's like a resin or plastic or something.
I see.
And if you take there's no battery in it because batteries will leak acid after a while. So I took the batteries out, but if you put the ring and touch it, it glows. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Alan Scott Green Lantern is my favorite Green Lantern, so it's a shame what they're doing to him these days.
Yeah, it is. But Kirby is expressing his jealousy
off of plastic.
Kirby's expressing his jealousy. You got 2?
I got one of each. I got a lot of stupid crap over here that you can't see. The Magneto helmet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now my collection is much smaller. I have a Tribble. Proud of my Tribble. I have Mjolnir.
You got Stormbreaker?
Nope. I have Mjolnir. And that's it. That's all I have. I had 2 collections in my life. The one was the childhood collection that the mother did what mothers do when I joined the military. Gone. And then the second time I was collecting while I was working in comics in the early 90s. And I was in college and it was supplementing my income to do that, working for these little bitty no-name companies. And I went on vacation to Virginia. And when I came back, my whole collection was gone, stolen. And the LCS I bought my shit from is the one that bought it back. And he knew it was my shit. I was just furious. So I haven't bothered to restart.
This is my favorite nonsense that I bought. A prop Excalibur from the 80s, Excalibur, the John Ball film. That's like the first movie that I watched so much. I probably have it memorized. Matter of fact, the Facebook user, my friend Jimmy, me and him could probably recite that movie. A buddy of mine had I'm getting stories mixed up. It was actually an ex-girlfriend. She had a Fantastic Four #1, and she had a couple of Frazetta comics.
Ooh.
And her brother had like a drug problem, and he stole them and sold them to a comic store for like nothing, for like a song, not even what they were worth.
Yeah, no shit.
Threw up the most, and then she went to the comic store, and she's like, "Those are mine. They're mine. My brother came in. He's got." So she was the scariest person I've ever met. She basically robbed them and took them back. She dressed up in black and everything. She loaded the shotgun, burst in. She's like, "Give me my stuff back." But she left the money. She put the money back.
I confronted this guy, and he said, "I don't see your name on it." I said, "You know exactly what I bought from you. For years, I've been a customer here. But okay, you can forget the comic books. You move a lot of comics. But the very rare Mego Star Trek action figures, the 6-inch ones, yeah, you knew those were mine because you always wanted the McCoy that I had to make your collection. There it sits. My Star Trek TOS Bird of Prey with the digital sounds, you wanted it. Now it's sitting right there. Oh, I don't see your name on it." Okay, asshole.
Yeah.
So
I remember, here's a story that's going to get me in trouble. But when I lived out west, my roommate, he worked in this warehouse that was the distributor for Magic the Gathering cards. And we're talking, this is like 92. So this is the beginning of Magic. And I was like, I don't understand this game. But everybody was into it. Everybody wanted cards. There was, we're in college. Everybody was playing Magic. So he was like, "Come pick me." So he just says to me, "John, could you drive me to work?" I'm like, "In the morning?" He's like, "No, right now." I'm like, "It's 2:00. 2:00 in the morning." He goes, "Drive me to work right now." He didn't have a car. So we drive to work. He goes, "Hold on." He climbs into a dumpster and he comes out with a big case of Magic cards. So every day he would throw we would come, and we were the Magic guys. We were selling. We were like the drug dealers. You're like, "Hey," and we would. That's how we we paid rent. We did everything, selling Magic cards, and we went to a local comic store, and we had a case, and we were just like, "Yeah, $200," because it was like $500. The guy goes, "Okay," he takes it, and he walks away. We were naive, and then the guy just starts helping somebody else. So we're waiting. He goes, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, light bulb goes off in my head. And Jeff's like, "Yeah, we're waiting for money." He goes, "What money?" And I'm like, for the Magic cards. I don't know what you're talking about. So I just go to Jeff. I go, I wonder what the insurance premium is on these windows in the storefront over here.
Right.
I wonder if it costs more than $200 deductible to get all these windows, and the, you know what I mean? Like I'm just wondering out loud because I'm thinking of opening up my own store. I was like, "You want to play stupid? You want to play stupid? You know what I mean? You can get, and that was, but we were like we'd walk into the diner, the Denny's where everybody was playing, and we were like opening up our coat. We had like Magic cards.
Hey.
Yeah. But here's what gets me. We had it. I'm not even joking. We had a treasure chest. It looked like a pirate's treasure chest. It looked like a prop from a movie, and cards sorted. We had Black Lotuses. Back then, Black Lotus weren't the $1 million cards that they are now. We had all cards sorted and everything like that. And I left the house first, and I was like, well, Jeff was risking his job, so they were his cards. I was just the guy helping him. So I never.
Right.
And then when he left, he thought I took the treasure chest. So we're like, and when you went into this house that we rented, you went in, you opened up you went down the basement, and no houses in Albuquerque had basements. So if you find a house in Albuquerque near the university that has a basement, you might find this. But you go in, and there's a boiler room, and then you go past the boiler room, there's just a dirt lot, and then there's another, like a little crawl space. We were like afraid of people breaking in and stealing it. Like we still wonder to this day, that was like 95. So
yeah,
15, 20 years ago, if those cards are still there, because it's a dry environment. Like,
yeah.
And every once in a while, I'll look up on eBay, like one Black Lotus card, it goes for like $20,000. I'm like,
jeez. Yeah, there's a chance that an archaeologist will find those 100 years from now. Look at these; they're in mint condition. This dry desert heat, blah blah blah. Yeah.
So I won't play Magic now because I'm like, I'm not paying for. I had every freaking deck imaginable, and it's all in that box.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was about 95. I think that's the year that my collection got stolen. And I never bothered to start back. I will back my friends' campaigns, or if I see something I really like, I'll back it. I don't buy mainstream anymore. I'm heartbroken with what they've done to my beloved IPs that I grew up with.
Oh,
So
tell me about it.
yeah, so I don't want to be witness to that or give them my money. So I would much rather back
I,
your
I,
book. I would
hey,
much
well,
rather back Kirby's book, but I can't because he's only releasing in Japan. Um, you know, so
I, I, I quit Marvel and DC cold turkey in 2015. The story I always tell is the month before I quit, I was spending $400 a month on comics. I would, and I would go to the discount comic book service, DCBS. They don't know me. It's just a great service, and it was, you get like a 50 to 35% discount. So
mhm.
I had to make it affordable. And I just remember the UPS guy didn't want to deliver my box because it's a 3-story walk up. And it was, so he was driving, and my wife was just like, "Hey, you got my husband's comic." She just happened to be coming home, and I'm sitting upstairs, wonder what my comic books are.
Mhm.
So he gives her this box, and she's picking it up, taking through, falling down, taking a couple. You know what I
Oh,
mean? That's what, and then the box started to split, and comics, and she started crying. And my nephew
oh,
just happened to live, but he was coming home from work and saw her. So together they carry these, and she's crying, box comics, and I'm just like, I got a problem. My comic book literally made my wife cry. And then I'm sorting them, and I'm like, I don't even like these. I don't, and that was
yeah,
it. I was
yeah.
like, I'm done. I said, I'm reading. So I was like, I'm going to honor whatever I prepaid for the discount comic book service. You know what I mean? It's not their
Mhm.
fault, but I just,
Right.
now every month I try to have less and less. I'm down to, last month DCBS was $17.38 or something like that for comics.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
most of my
mean,
new comics is from crowdfunding guys.
yeah, I was going to say, that frees up some income to back some projects from just good indie creators. And God, there's a lot of good indie creators out there.
Yes, yes. So that cold turkey. I started buying back issues. I bought a couple of collections from people. You know what I mean? I
Mhm. Mhm.
I still have 20 long boxes of comics that I haven't read yet. Well, I'm down
Right.
to 18
Right.
now. So I still fulfill the bug. But when people ask me about new comics, I always say to them, I had this relationship with Marvel and DC for most of my life, and we
Mhm.
broke up. We
Yeah.
broke up in 2000. And I don't know about you, but I don't go and call up my ex-girlfriends in a drunk, "Hey, how you doing?" So I don't look back at Marvel. Maybe they're turning the corner. I wish them well. I wish my ex-girlfriends well. I wish Marvel and DC well. I don't have any, I did have some resentment for a while, but
Sure. The breakup causes resentment.
yeah.
Later on, they straighten their shit out. God bless you. Wish you all the best, but I'm not
Right.
coming back.
But I have, we were, it was a beautiful thing what we have, and we still have Paris.
Yeah, we'll always have Paris.
Well,
My favorite movie of all time. How dare you quote that?
so that's the way I feel about comics. I still love comics, and I freed up money that I was able to, pay. I
Yeah,
blasphemy for crowdfunding, but I paid for my comic
yeah,
that
yeah,
series.
yeah, yeah.
So I paid for everything out of pocket, and then what I'm doing is crowdfunding, and I hope I make enough to make issue 2.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
going to be my model.
Yeah.
So issue
Now,
2, issue
when?
1 is coming out no matter what,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah. When is that campaign going live? By the way,
a week from this Friday, so the 26th, 9 p.m. at on Michael Bancroft. He graciously agreed to
that's
host.
awesome. That hey, listen, that Bancroft boost will take you a long way.
Yeah, he's such a good guy.
He
And he's
is
another guy like me. He just likes comics. He likes talking to people and doesn't really engage in all this fighting and nonsense that I.
right.
It just
Same.
kills. It's just draining.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not here to fight with anybody. I mean, if you come
And,
over here and you bring the smoke, I'm gonna hurt your feelings.
yeah, well,
Okay,
you're
but
ex-military. I wouldn't fight with you.
I was gonna say, other than that, on the most look, there's a difference between peaceful and harmless. All right, peaceful
Yes.
is I could destroy your world, but I choose not to. Harmless is I have no ability to do anything to you. I'm a peaceful person.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
but
believe me, I took me 2 years, but I got my pistol licenses.
But this all the fighting that's always going on. It's just like it does nothing for me. It's never put a dime in my pocket, so I have no interest in it whatsoever.
That's why if I started whatever
Kirby, wait, I'm sorry, Kirby. No, you're not. Kirby's a Marine. You are not harmless, sir. You are peaceful.
He's harmless like a hamster.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, he's posing like a male feminist, trying to make himself look harmless. Meanwhile, they're all creep.
Well, we had talked, John. I knew your project was coming up to launch. My show normally goes at 1 p.m. That doesn't work for you in the middle of the week, so I'm going to do a separate show just for you. I want to have you out.
Oh, great! Thank you.
On my channel, and let's
See,
show your book.
Being nice to people, wow, it yields results. Who to figure?
Who'd have thunk it?
I've been saying this from almost day one. I don't encounter all this negativity. A couple of people try to draw me out once in a while, and I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid. I fell for it a couple of times.
Yeah.
I engage, and I'm human. I engage in drama. I just had some drama a couple of days ago. It's my fault. I shouldn't have done it. But you know what? For the most part, comic book Twitter has been pleasant. It's been fun. It's been nice. When I started making this comic, I didn't know what I was doing. It's fun to write a script, and it's fun to hire an artist and see pages coming in. But then you got to get logos made up. You got to get pre-press and all that stuff.
The real starts to happen.
Everybody's been so nice and helpful,
Yeah. Yes. And I'm still friendly with the crowd I met when I first showed up here because they were friendly and they were helpful.
Yes, everybody.
Because God knows I had questions. Look, I had worked in comics before, but this was in the days when a script came by FedEx and you pulled the envelope open and it's typewritten, and you sit down and you draw, and then you fill up a FedEx box and you ship it off to the inker. There was no internet. I didn't have to worry about publishing, lettering, none of that stuff. I was just a penciler. I didn't know how much went into doing this on your own. I know now. I've got one book behind me. I've got one about to come out. So I have learned, and that curve was steep to learn. But thank God for friends that have helped me learn along the way. Other artists who will hold you accountable. They'll say, "Hey, Doc, that sucks. You can do better. You're right." And I will. And I change it. And I make the changes. Yeah.
It's funny that you said that. Well, first off, here's the link to your upcoming project. Everybody check that out. It's funny that you said that the other artists will criticize your work, because I feel that that's something that's missing these days, because any criticism is an attack, it's harassment, whatever.
Exactly.
I heard stories of Frank Miller going down to Marvel DC, and they told him get the F out of here, get out of here, and then he went to Marvel. They told him, and he would come back and redraw and come back. They're like, "No, we told you to leave." And it wasn't until like Neil Adams took mercy on him and coached him. You know what I mean? Like they weren't pretending. They weren't worrying about people's feelings. I heard a lot of artists.
Yeah. And
reduced guys to tears, but they just stood there and took it because, but nowadays you criticize somebody's art. You're not.
Yeah. It's not. Listen, if someone's just arbitrarily attacking your project,
yes,
just walk away from it. But if someone has a good heart and they're just trying to help you be better, Kirby, Dillard, and I we'll meet backstage and we'll tear into each other's work. And I'll even rip into old John Dillard there sometimes, and I tear Kirby to pieces because I'm kidding, Kirby. But we hang out off stage. We're not live. We're just hanging out backstage and working. We all work from home. That's what we do. But it's always with the intention of improving the other person, not in tearing them down. Even if we say it in a smart ass way. John Dillard was watching me draw a panel. And he said, "Knock, why do you hate comic books?" I'm like, "You fucker." So I redrew that whole panel because he was right. It needed to be redrawn. So
yeah, I sent my scripts to other guys who tore them apart, and it hurts at first, and you're like, this guy's an asshole because he doesn't see how wonderful I am.
Right.
And then when you get that, I try not to respond to criticism as soon as I get it because I know the wound is still raw.
Yes, soak it up.
and I usually wait a day or two. And I got to say, 9 times out of 10, I was like, they were right. They were
Hmm.
right. You know,
Yep. And I'm already my own worst critic. So, you know, typically, like right now, as I'm literally finishing the last page of a damn dirty thing. Um, I'm looking at page one, going, yeah, that needs some love. I may have to go because also, in fairness to myself, boys and girls, I switched from traditional to digital
let's
two
be
thirds
realistic. No
two
girls are watching us.
two thirds of the way through the book. I switched over to digital, and so it does. There's a little bit of you can still see it's my work, but it just looks different.
Do you
So
prefer digital or hand drawn?
I there's nothing to dislike about either. I love being able to edit as I go. And here's a good example. Yesterday, the simplest panel for an artist to draw is two people talking. And I've got a confrontation, two people facing, they're facing each other. It's the easiest thing in the world to draw. For whatever reason, I could not make it work. Had I been doing it traditionally, I would have had to redraw the same panel 6, 7 times,
I got you.
trash it, throw it away. I could just edit digitally, keep changing it, changing it. It's like a painting. In my heart, I'm a painter. A painting is never wrong. You just keep working till you get what you want, and it's the same way when you're working digital.
My artist is Renzo Rodriguez, who's just phenomenal. I'm so happy. I'm lucky to be working with him. But
Hmm.
sometimes I'll send him a script, and then I'll have an idea, and I'm like, oh, can we work? He's like, I already drew it, and then I feel bad. I'm like, all
Yep.
right, I
Yep.
got to pay him again to do it. He goes, no, no, no. I'm like, how did you do it? Like, because I'm thinking he's doing it digitally. So he's just like, yeah, I just go in and erase get rid of a layer and, fix it.
Yep.
No problem.
Yep.
I fixed it already. I'm like, and I'm like hesitating, like, oh my God, should all right. I'm just going to leave it because I poor Renzo, I don't realize that doing digital stuff is easy to fix. Hey, Marcus, don't
Right.
apologize. Don't apologize. You got to work.
Let
Yeah,
me. I'm going to drop the link to the sign up for a damn dirty thing.
sure.
Um, because again, we're launching Friday, so if you want the discount code and the exclusive trading card, you got to sign up ahead of time. So let me drop that. I'm just going to drop it in your YouTube. Oh, I don't have a.
Yeah,
I
put it in
don't.
the private chat, and then I'll
Yeah,
throw it in.
there we go. There it is. All right, there's the sign up.
And there we go. There we go. So we'll throw it in there. So what is this? This is a sign up, an email list.
Yeah, this is the sign up email list over on darkgiftcomics.com. We're going to fund it over on Fund My Comic. We've already submitted the page. I think Luke's already approved it, so we're just going to be going live at noon this Friday. It's going to be an all-day launch. We're going to start at noon on Dark Gift Comics Presents here on YouTube. We'll go as long as we can. He's got another show he's got to go on. So at that point, it's going to go over to my channel and to the Madness Network, so, and
Right.
go out to that crowd.
Pops is a good guy too. I like busting on Pops chops.
Yeah, Pop's crazy as hell, but I like it. I love
Yeah.
the guy. What are you going to do? He's somebody that literally gives everything he's got to promote other people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Well, when I say somebody's crazy, that's only a compliment because I only seem normal when I got this camera on.
I wondered, and there's even a video on my YouTube channel. I wondered if I had the nerd clout. I didn't. All this stuff behind me back here. This is mine. That's the tapestry from my first. The rest of this is part of a stack this thick of the promo posters that comic book shops get because my buddy runs one. I said, I need some swag for my background. He goes, I got you covered. So he gives me all these posters and I put them up because this, again, it's a painting studio. I haven't collected comics in forever. I don't have action figures. I don't have swag. I don't have the nerd cred. So, oh, thank you, Marcus. Very kind of you.
Yeah, it's a great moderator.
So I just
apologizes for having to work to feed his family. Don't apologize, Marcus. You make me feel like a slave driver.
Yeah, feed your family first.
Yes.
So anyway, I was lucky enough in this process to hook up with Anthony Romano, and Anthony is Now he thrives on the controversy, the drama of it all. He lives for it. I mean, it's on his Twitter, it's on his YouTube. You know, he's the dark betrayer. He's this, he's that. But he's actually, here's what he is. He's a nice guy who will do anything in the world for you. And when we're working together backstage, he's one of the best people to work with I've ever had the privilege of working with. On my first book, Pariah, Blood and Mud, it was traditional. He's got the physical pages up there in Jersey, and we are working backstage, and he can do digital. So I'm like, all right, in panel one, under her face, think of her chin as a clock. At 3 o'clock, there's a line right there. Can you get rid of that for me? And he's like, yeah, sure. So he's all patient with me. And while we're working, I go, no, panel two on page 7 blows the big one. I'm going to redraw that and send it to you. And he's like, very patient with me. Okay, Doc. So we're finally done. We've got the edits. We're formatted. We're ready to go to the printer. And I was just fucking with him. I said, Anthony, look, I was really thinking about, panel 6 on page 30. And he goes, don't you say it. You're not redrawing anything else. We're going to print.
Well, realistically, you could spend the rest of your life tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. You know, there comes a point where you got to just pull the trigger and go.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
and the other thing, too, to remember is people who use the word style as an excuse, that's one thing. But your style is your style. Don't try to look like anybody else. So, like, one thing I did notice is, I sketch when I'm drawing my traditional. And I'm not an inker. So when I ink, I'm kind of inking that same sketchiness. And it came out that way. Now, digitally, I'm trying to have those perfect smooth lines. And I went, you know what? No, fuck that. If I draw sketchy, I'm going to ink sketchy. And if I ink sketchy traditionally, I'm going to do it digitally also because fuck it, that's my style.
Okay.
Did I lose you, John?
I had a question loaded up at I forgot my question.
I talked it right out of your brain. I'm so sorry.
Right out of my brain. And then my wife came and dropped off some groceries and distracted me.
Oh. Ask
9
her.
pages inked for the Vampire Squad, the first storyline.
Hey.
Ask her. Grey Wolf is working with you?
Hey, ask her. No. That's his project.
Okay.
Not that I wouldn't like to work with Grey Wolf, but, I'm open to working with it. Right now, the person I most wish I could work with is let me be the writer and give me Jason Bascom from Unhinged to I've got a script. Popeye is in the public domain. I've got a Popeye Dark Harbor. It's already written. Jason Bascom, we got to work together, brother. I'll give you 60% of the take.
It's funny because I approached an artist who I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not going to mention what it's about. But if my comic does well and I get thing moving, I would like to do this big project. Like this will be the project that like I'll be remembered for, kind of thing. Especially
right.
The artwork. And I already said to him, it's like you get. I'm just the guy. I'm going to write a script, and then you're going to spend the next 3 goddamn years drawing this thing. And so I was like, "What do you say? Like 25, 75%?" Like, I'm just happy to have my name on this. And your artwork. So
yeah. So I mean, that's kind of a pipe dream thing. The series. There's 2 series I'm working on, and they're interconnected. Pariah is a trilogy. It's Elizabeth Payne's story. The Jake Bishop stuff, which is the noir comic book that I'm doing, that's my ride or die. There will be Jake Bishops for as long as I live. I'll keep doing it. I've already got the next look. Pariah book 1 was Blood and Mud. Second book is Pariah, Sanctum of Hate. Third one is Pariah, Garden of Malice. Then Jake Bishop, we've got the first one, A Damn Dirty Thing. The second one is Blood on the Bricks. And the third one is Justice or something like it. And they're written. They're done. They're ready to go. So I'll keep working Jake Bishop till the wheels fall off because I love noir. Love it.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Yeah. I'm doing my comic, Heroic Tales. It's traditional superhero stuff. It's stuff that I absolutely love. It's a love letter to comics that I love.
Sure.
I Renzo, when I saw Renzo doing Thomas Valiant, I was like, this guy is phenomenal. This is what comic books should be looking like. This, you know. So I was like, I got to contact him, and I was amazed that I was able to hire him. You know, I was like, why aren't Marvel and DC grabbing? I should stop talking before he leaves me. But you know what? Now that I think about it, Marvel and DC couldn't pay him what I pay him. I bet you from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I bet they don't.
And he's so nice to work with, and then I got this the colors. It's so good. I'm so excited, and it's traditional color. But I got all these ideas, and next issue I was going to do a different character. So issue 1 was going to be the patriarch, and then issue 2 was going to be another character, Mary Sue. And then I'm thinking, am I going to do the same thing that your boy Zach does? Everybody wants Jawbreakers, and then he does all of these artsy fartsy projects. And people
yeah.
You know, am I sabotaging myself? So I'm like, you know, if you dance with the one that brought you, if everybody's backing me because they like the patriarch and he's so well drawn, I just love seeing him, and I really do love the character. And then I'm like, wow, is it going to be the hotness of them? So I decided I'm going to do a flip book with issue 2. So there's going to be the patriarch on the cover and everything, and then you flip the book over, and it's going to be the other character. So every issue is going to have the patriarch, a story of the patriarch as my flagship character.
Right.
You know, I got a million stories for him, and then the other characters that I want to introduce in the world. That he
Oh, that's where I was going with this. The reason I'm doing the Jake Bishop books is book 2 of the Pariah was already written, and I'm sorry, let me start that over.
Sure.
Book 2, not the Pariah, of Pariah, was already written, and several pages were done, and this character was in there that's Jake Bishop, who's in the noir books, and I thought, you know what, he needs a backstory before I bring him in to book 2 for a little more punch. So that's why I'm doing that. But if you want to see a little sneak peek, I can
sure, love to
share screen here with
you.
you.
I love this too, that we actually talked about a whole bunch of different things before we got into comics, because sometimes I'm like, I'm just an hour-long commercial for people, but this
right.
We talk
shilling is boring, talking is cool.
Yeah.
So I can't see your screen, so just you have to let me know when you've got it pulled up. So and these are in no particular. Well, no, I can't see anything. Actually, yeah, this is a page, and however, that's not
what you want me to take it down just in case until.
No. There's nothing wrong with that. I just couldn't. I thought I had it pulled up where I could flip to the next couple of pages. So let me try that.
That looked great. That was your art. That looked good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Here we go. We'll just share the screen in its totality, and then we go down here and we open up. All right, now you'll have to let me.
Okay.
Fuck.
Can I bring it up or no?
It's still not doing right. Technology hates me.
Oh, I am the worst. I'm amazed that I made it this far. Does anybody can teach me how to edit? Because I really got to edit my videos, and you know, I got these 2-hour-long conversations with Jim Shooter, and I'd like to do 10-minute little things, and I don't know how to do any of that. Custom thumbnails.
I'm not.
I rely on the kindness of strangers. Me and Blanche Dubois.
There we go. If you want to share this,
okay. I can bring this up.
Yeah. You have to let me know if it changes to anything. So yeah, there's that page.
Okay, I'm gonna make it the whole screen so we can see this.
All right. So this is Jake Bishop and his lovely assistant Portia Vance, and they've tracked down mob boss Morelli hiding out in a luxury resort town. They need a distraction for all the guards, and she says, "I've got just the thing." And these are not in order. So this is Bishop doing his investigating. He's out on the hunt.
Could you click on one of them, make it big? Because I just see a whole bunch of thumbnails.
Oh man, it's not doing what I wanted it to. I would love to say yes, that I can do that.
that is ideal. What you are watching, the Boomer Hour, ladies and gentlemen. Two gray hairs trying to figure out how to work a computer, and these contraptions over here.
I refuse to take the blame. I refuse to take the blame for this. I blame the gremlins. It's all their fault. Anyway, it's a noir book, and if you like Sam Spade, if you like Philip Marlowe, if you enjoy a good noir book, this is my bread and butter. This is where I live, and this is the series I choose. Now, the the distinction is, yes, it's a traditional noir book. However, Jake Bishop is what I call, and what he calls himself, a ditch wizard. He can do magic. Magic exists in this world, but I put it like this: it's not common. A real, actual, living, breathing genius here in the real world, they exist. They're not unheard of, but
Right.
they're
Otherwise,
they're
otherwise they're
very,
not special.
yeah, they're very rare. So magic exists in that sense, and so his impetus for creating him was uh, Elizabeth Payne in the Pariah books. She's a witch, and she's doing all these supernatural murders, taking down the people that tried to kill her, and the police can't figure out who's the serial killer killing all these mobsters in these horrible ways. So they call Jake Bishop because they know he can do magic. So he tracks her down and they meet. So the thing is, will he be friend or foe to her? She's murdering people. He's lawful good. He doesn't kill people. He arrests them. He brings them in for justice. So is he going to be friend or foe? We don't know.
Yeah, I like the D&D terms, lawful good. That which
I figured, when in
you,
Nerdville,
yeah.
speak nerd.
Do you ever play Dungeons and Dragons? Now I gotta ask since you brought that up.
Actually, no, no. And it's funny because just last night I tried to play Neverwinter online. I couldn't make head or tails of it. I couldn't figure out what it wanted me to do. I'm like, screw it. So I uninstalled it. So, so no is the answer.
Well,
No,
I'm talking you and your buddy sitting around at a table,
no.
drinking some beer and rolling dice and laughing at each other as you
I,
drop dice under the radiator.
I guess if I'm going to be completely honest, I would have to say yes, even though I didn't, if that makes sense. I was my buddy, his mother owned this gigantic used bookstore, and the whole third floor was just vacant, and it was huge. I mean, we're talking 2 basketball courts easy, and a group of them would meet up there and game. Well, the band I was in at the time rented the back half of the upstairs. That's where we rehearsed, and I got stranded up there one day because my alternator went out in the old rickety van I was driving, and I had somebody coming to get me, but they were, hours away from coming. So I'm like, well, they're gaming. Well, why don't you join us? And so I sit down and I go on this little adventure with them. I have no idea what I'm doing at all, but I hung out and I guess I played.
Did you have fun though?
I laughed my ass off. It was
You had fun.
hysterical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the. I seems like I talk a lot about role playing games lately, but that's one of the things that people who haven't played they get hung up on. I don't know how to play.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
do you know how to explain what you want to do? That's it.
Yeah.
Because it's a rookie mistake to start explaining the rules to a rookie because then they're overwhelmed. You just okay. You're a dwarf with a sword. There's a monster coming at you. What do you want to do? I want to hit it.
Right.
With this. Okay, so and then you explain the rules as they go along. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons and role playing games with people for 50 years. Not 45 years.
I kicked one of the party
newbies.
Yeah, one of the party members was a dwarf, and the guy playing him was being obnoxious, and I didn't like him. So we're about to go in this room and whatever. Well, he cracks the door, and I said, well, open the door and shove him in and pull it closed. He got killed. Like, well, okay, the guy got mad and left the room. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. They're like, no, we're glad he's gone. He's an asshole. I'm like, okay, cool. That's all I really remember from other. I sprung a trap, and I slid down a chute with my longsword in my hand. And I said, well, as I'm sliding, I'm just going to point it straight down. So when I come out of this thing, whatever I'm flying at, I'm going to hit it with my sword. And I guess the DM rolled a high number for me. And I went bink and got a big old troll right between the eyes with my sword as I landed on him.
Yeah,
I meant to do that.
Everybody stands up and cheers, and it's fun.
I meant to do that.
I remember playing with my buddies in college, and one of the guys was like he was special with archery, and he could
Mhm.
fire 2 arrows. He was so good he could attack twice with an arrow. So
Right.
every time you swung your sword, he got to shoot 2 arrows. That's how good he was.
Mhm.
So I just flippantly said, "I tell you what, if you roll 2 20s, you're gonna kill that monster." You know, 5% chance, 5% chance. So what is that? 1 out of 400. You know, I figure the odds are on my side. He rolls 2 20s in a row, and I'm like, everybody standing up. It was worth it to see that reaction of
Sure.
everybody standing up
Sure.
and cheering. You know,
Sure. But the answer is yeah, I had a good time. But here was the funny part. In that group were just classic nerds. There were some comic book guys. There was this punk rocker skater that was the son of the lady that owned the bookstore. And there's me, this metalhead that's in a band that practices up there. We're all hanging out. Well, me and the little punk rock kid became friends. And this is, well, almost 40 years ago. We are still friends to this day.
from that session.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
he's now the bass player in a rockabilly band that
nice.
tours all over the world. Hot Rod Walt and the Psycho DeVilles, check them out. They're everywhere. He's the upright bass player.
Oh wow,
He tells everyone that I taught him to play bass. I did not. I showed him how to play bass the way I was playing, and he took it from there and did his own thing. So yeah, but we've
it's
been
funny.
buddy.
All the old punk rockers grow up and become rockabilly guys.
Yeah, and but we've stayed friends all this time. And he even posted just 2 days ago. He goes, "Strange
What's the name
how
of the band again? I got to look them up.
Hot Rod Walt and the Psycho DeVilles."
Okay, that's such a rockabilly name. I love it
Yeah,
already.
yeah. And but he posted, only in this weird America we live in can a metalhead and a punk rock skater become good buddies and still be friends, 40 years later. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I still hang out like Facebook user. If that's my friend Jimmy, we met in 3rd grade. We're still hanging.
mm,
My wife said the last night that she's jealous that I'm still friends with my buddies. My friend Mike, who has a comic on Kickstarter right now. If you go
mhm.
to Thunder Zone, if you go to Kickstarter, look up Thunder Zone. He has a comic called Marshall Strong. Marshall Strong was a player in my game. So
Ah,
Marshall Strong, I still have to finish reading the script because I got to make sure that it fits. But it's going to be set in my Heroic Tales world. So I think the first Heroic Tales comic is going to come out by somebody else.
there it
But we're
is.
still friends. We were literally born next door to each other.
There you go.
Yep, Hot Rod Walt and the Psycho DeVilles. I will be checking them out because I love rockabilly. I
And see, it's not
I
my
was,
th-
I was an old
it's,
punk rocker, and I grew up to be a rockabilly guy.
yeah, yeah. It's not really my thing, but I respect the hell out of it, man. They're writing their own music, they're touring. I mean, they tour Europe, Asia, they've been everywhere.
My wife and I used to, up until COVID, killed everything, but we used to go see Brian Setzler do the Christmas rockabilly special over in
Yeah,
Long Island.
yeah.
Like all the girls look like Betty and Veronica in the
Now,
crowd. It's
yeah,
great.
if you know rockabilly, do you know Reverend Horton Heat?
Oh yeah. Oh, I could tell you Reverend Horton Heat stories. Yeah. Hey
Hort,
Marcus, you coming to New York? Give me a call. Let's hang out. I'll take.
yeah,
I saw Reverend Horton Heat, and he was hitting on some girl in the crowd. She looked like Betty and Veronica from Archie comics. This
mhm.
beautiful girl, with the squiggly waist and the big,
Hi
big boobs.
there's.
And her boyfriend was this big guy. But Reverend Horton, he just comes to town. He's hitting on the girl, blah 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 blah. And the guy tells him that's my girlfriend. And he goes, "I'm Reverend Horton Heat." And
Yeah,
he threatens Reverend Horton Heat, and Horton Heat got him kicked out of the venue. And watch the show, and freaking guy drove his truck through the store. Oh my God. It was like, show's over. We're getting the hell out of here. Dust in your face.
yeah, yeah.
That was a great show. I only saw 4 songs, but I got a good story out of it. I can play
You
the
damn right. And
album.
look, and the Reverend, the good Reverend, now has an epic, legendary story to tell for all eternity because of that. Yeah, they've toured together. Hot Rod Walt, the Psycho DeVilles. Everybody knows Hot Rod Walt and Horton Heat. They're good friends, and I forget the other bands, but they all know each other.
Yeah.
Apparently, the rockabilly circuit is very tight and very small, so they all know one another.
Do you know a band Deadbolt? They used to call themselves Psychobilly or Horrorbilly, but they used to hang out at my, when they were touring. When I lived in Albuquerque, all the bands going to LA from New York would stop at Albuquerque and vice versa. So they would also, and I used to go to all the shows and invite guys. My roommate, who was the squarest guy ever. Just wanted to be an accountant. Kind of, he would wake up in the middle of the night and there'd be like these tattooed rockabilly guys just hanging out at the house.
Nice.
There was a band called The Voluptuous Horror of Karen Black. I don't know if you've ever, the punk rock band, but she was this basically a burlesque show. So she would sing, and they would have like a couple of guys playing this, and then naked girls.
Yeah.
And they would color body paint. So it's like 2:00 in the morning, the show's over, and I invite them all to my house. Be like, we take showers at your house. So these girls are all naked body paint. They can't get dressed. They can't sit on any furniture. And then Sean comes walking out. What's going on? And he's like, I walk into the living room and there's blue naked girls, there's green naked girls, there's orange naked girls all over the house. He's like, I don't know how John does this stuff. And then my tub was just stained like an Easter egg.
Man, I can imagine. Yeah.
They all cleaned themselves up, but we could not clean this for like, I think we stayed that's the same house that has the magic cards. I wonder if that tub is still multicolored.
It's funny, man. It's the world is like that, and you have those wonderful adventures, and those stay with you forever.
That's why I have to laugh at all this like purity tests, and I'm like, dude, if you heard the stories that I don't tell,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm a 56-year-old man. I have a past.
Yeah.
Even my wife is just like, I'm glad I didn't know you in your 20s. I'm like, I'm glad I don't know me in my 20s.
Yeah, I frequently think I don't want to go back to being the person I was back then because I like who I am now.
Yes, absolutely.
But I'd trade physiques with my younger self in a heartbeat and go abuse that body for a few decades.
Yeah. I could take some of this hair and put it back up here, And
it's not that so much. I just like to have I was in good shape. I'd like to have that back, but I'll settle for being rich. So we'll just go for that.
I can't be rich. Sign up for his comic.
Yep. And I hope everyone will tune in for the launch over on Dark Gift Comics Presents here on YouTube. Starting noon Friday, we're going to be launching. And then
and this comment made me, I'm the most anti-smoker person. Smoking killed my mom, and I'm kind of convinced that the secondhand smoke killed my dad. So I'm the most anti-smoking person in the world. But you're making it look cool. I got to admit.
I'm just gonna say, pal.
Showed up with a pizza. Goodbye, everybody.
I've been smoking for so long that a world without cigarettes would seem alien to me. Like to me, hey, Hal dear, what's up?
Yeah.
To me, the world began to end when the non-smokers got their way at restaurants. It used to be smoking or non-smoking, your sections. Now it's you can't smoke anywhere. So I was thinking this evil thought, John. That is, the ordinance here locally says that on the first offense, they'll ask you to leave the restaurant. So if I eat my meal, I was going to smoke at the end anyway. And all you're going to do is make me leave? I'm going to go to the best restaurant in town. Nice place over here, great prime rib. And then I'm going to light up and watch all the leftoids have a meltdown. Sir, you're going to have to leave.
Even though
I was doing that anyway.
Even though I'm the most anti-smoking person, it still bothers me that you could tell a business owner how to run their business.
Yep.
Like if I want to open up a bar and allow people to smoke,
right.
I feel like as long as you don't trick people, because I know that there are some people with legitimate health concerns and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But you just make it known. This is a smoking establishment.
Exactly.
And if you work there, don't work here if you got a problem.
Yeah.
I wonder about that. Like, would a smoking bar make more money than a non-smoking bar? Because everybody likes to smoke when they drink.
I was going to say,
ask your wife. Would you think a smoking bar would make more money than a non-smoking bar?
Yeah.
She agrees. And she doesn't smoke.
A lot of social smokers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't condone smoking. If you're a young person,
right.
Don't start. But John, we're very close in age. So when I was coming up, everybody smoked. So we would get in the car, John, to go on a family trip. Bring me some pizza, will you? We'd go on a trip, and my dad would light a cigarette, and mom and all my siblings, they're rolling down windows. Not me. I'm in the back going, oh man, that smells great. I'm going to do that when I grow up.
I can't wait till I'm old enough. I remember my mom used to send me on my bicycle down. I would ride through the neighborhood, go into the store, put the 75 cents in the machine, pull the lever, pack of canteens would fall down. I'd get
Hell
on my
yeah.
phone right away. You know, because there was 75 cents. My mom would give me $1 and I would have a quarter and I'd buy a comic book. I'd be like,
There you
"Mom, you
go.
want cigarettes?"
There you go.
You know,
But I started when I was
you'd
in
be
high school.
horrified by that today.
I started when I was in high school, and I didn't really have any issues with it health wise. Now, here's the thing: it's a true story. I had a chest X-ray, part of my routine physical, back in 2019. My lungs were still clear, good to go. COVID has caused scar tissue, so because I got pneumonia when I had COVID, I recovered from it. I didn't have to go in the hospital or any of that stuff. It just happened. But
God,
now,
people went to the hospital for COVID. That was like,
that
taking
was
your life in your own hands.
yeah. I didn't want any part of
Marcus
that.
could tell you stories, and Luke
So
Stone could tell you stories.
sure. But I didn't go, and I got better. But apparently, my lungs got damaged pretty good. So now, ideally, I guess I should stop. But my evil part of my brain goes, well, the cigarettes didn't cause this damage. The freaking COVID did. So just keep smoking, baby.
I had a friend in college who's an anesthesiologist today, but he was going for heart surgery,
hmm
and this guy used to smoke filterless Marlboros. Like as soon as one was like he was taking his last, he had one in his mouth as he was lighting the other one, you know. And if people handed him a filter, he would break the filter off, and people were
Yep.
horrified by it. And this is a guy going to medical school,
Yep.
and he used to say with a straight face, "The filter removes all the nutrients of the cigarette."
That's right. That's right.
And now he's an anesthesiologist, and I'm like, can you imagine the last thing you see? You're going in for the surgery, and you see this because he's built, he's just this. Now he's bald, but at the time he was just this muscular guy. He was out bouncing with his cigarette, and I'm like, can you see that? Like he's got the mask on with a little hole in the cigarette coming out.
Right. I mean, all kidding aside, I'm on active duty in the military. My rating in the Navy was I was a hospital corpsman. I was an IDT, which means advanced. So we would see patients just like a doctor does. And you could smoke in your office. So I did. So did the doctors and the PAs that I worked with. Everybody smoked. It was just something you did.
I remember my wife and I were watching The Exorcist.
hmm
We went on a horror kick, and we were watching all the horror movies. And you remember at the beginning, she's doing all the medical tests and everything. So she's sitting there talking to the doctor. And I just started laughing because the doctor's like, lights up a cigarette, hands her a cigarette. And I'm like, this is the 70s. We used to drive up to my grandparents' house upstate. It was like a 4-hour drive up,
Right.
from Long Island past, into the mountains where my hillbilly grandfather lived.
Even in Die Hard.
Yeah. And in Die Hard, we were laughing when we saw Die Hard. I finally saw Die Hard in the theaters. I was like, look at everybody smoking. But we're in the station wagon, windows rolled up because it's raining out. My mother and father driving. The air is blue. We're just sitting in the back like, don't touch me. To my 7 brothers and sisters, everybody's breathing in smoke, taking the seatbelts and jamming the seatbelts into the cushion because they were uncomfortable to wear.
Yeah.
Surprised we all survived.
F in the chat says, how many of my original pages smell like smoke? All of them.
That's funny. I had to pay them all
All.
shortly after 4 years. They feel, a lot. I'm hearing a lot of COVID stories.
My paintings, when I was painting, I'm an impressionist landscape painter, and they sold for a lot of money. I'm not gonna lie, I made a good amount of money doing that, and every one of them I'm sure smells like smoke. But when you go to a gallery, every time you take them to a gallery, you get them cleaned professionally. So I never really worried about it too much.
My mom used to say she regretted smoking, but when she was a kid in the 50s, the doctors would tell you it was healthy. So whenever I see people telling us, "Oh, trust the science," I'm like, "Yeah, trust the science until the science changes its mind again." Eggs used to be bad for you. Now eggs are good for you. Smoking tobacco is good for you.
Here's what I say:
medicine had opium in it. Trust the science.
Don't trust science. Actually, know science so you can do your own research.
Right.
I'm big on that. Critical thinking, having a big enough knowledge base to do your own research intelligently about anything.
Yeah. I said this a few times. I'm not much of a joiner.
Nope.
And I'm pretty skeptical about everything. Like, just a weird example, but in the 80s, you had to like the band U2. You like U2. Just the fact that everybody told me that they're the best band in the world. I was like, F you, I hate U2. And I still don't like the band for whatever, because I was supposed, then Pearl Jam was the next band.
Yeah.
I don't like Pearl Jam.
Here comes the one that's going to lose me backers off of your chat. Okay. I was the same way about Rush. I never met a Rush fan who wasn't a dick. So just for that reason alone, I'm like, no, I don't like them. Fuck them. That and Geddy Lee sounds like the world's biggest nose is singing with lips on each nostril. I can't stand it.
I know people are gonna get mad, but I don't have anything against Rush. They're talented musicians. I just don't like them. I'm sorry. And I said that at work the other day. One of the guys who never says anything, he was like offended. He's like,
how dare you?
You don't like, and Rush fans are hardcore. I got to admit,
they are.
I don't like.
And they're snotty, condescending about all other music. Well, obviously you don't know good music, do you?
My brother's sister-in-law, she used to wear a shirt. I trust the science, and I just like, you're a moron. You don't trust science. You question science. Trusting science is a dogma. Any science comes at you, and any good scientist will tell you don't
question the science.
Question the science.
Always.
The science. And when a question comes up that science can't answer, then it gets changed. But that's when that whole thing. Trust the science. Like when they rushed, people are going to call me a conspiracy theory, but I love a good conspiracy theory, so I'll stop the criticism before they say it. But when they rushed out this vaccine, I remember guys at work were like, "You going to get it?" I was like, "No." I said, "I'm not going to get it." I said, I know for a fact it takes like 10 years. I said, we didn't know about this disease 6 months ago. And now there's a vaccine coming out for him. I said, that doesn't sound fishy to you? I said, I'm not saying it's a weapon or whatever. I'm just saying we don't have enough information.
Right.
And I already had COVID. My wife and I had COVID. We painted the basement. It wasn't that bad. We just took our time. And yes, I understand guys like Marcus and Luke had really bad time. And I'm sure. So I'm respectful for that. But it didn't affect me that much. So
I had
why would I
friends
risk
that died from COVID. Okay.
Right.
I understand that. I understand that. But here's the thing. My wife was vaccinated. Her work required it because she works for the state. I was retired. I didn't get the vaccine. We both got it at the same time. We had it for the same endurance and the same severity.
Right.
So
I had COVID. It was like the flu. It sucked. It sucked. I'm not going to lie. I had problems. And I have to admit, when I first got diagnosed with it, I started to panic. I never had it before. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, what's going to happen? After like 2 days, I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah, the only thing it really did to me.
Why would I risk a vaccine when I already know that the disease, to me, the disease wasn't that bad? Now, to you or somebody else, that's an individual choice. Like I said, I'm not a joiner, and I'm not going to condemn you or them or her for making their individual. What I resented was my job telling everybody we had to do it.
Right. Exactly right.
But we don't know. We don't know the consequences. You got to do it. You got, but it doesn't protect you.
I mean, my response to that was, again, I'm 6'2", 260 pounds. Why don't you come over here and tell me what I have to do? And I'm going to point out to you that no, I don't, and there ain't enough of you to make me. Period.
Yeah, I hear a lot of anecdotal stuff, and I don't know what's true. All I know is,
we need to be careful. We're treading on thin ice with YouTube. They don't like this conversation.
All I know is 7 million people are crossing the borders, and they don't have any vaccination.
Right. Right.
I
said on my YouTube channel early on, don't lick doorknobs and wash your hands, and I got that stream taken down.
I got to say, I'll drop ice cream in dog shit and clean off the dog shit and eat the ice cream. Your immune system needs a workout.
Yeah.
I got 7 brothers and sisters. If we dropped food, we had to eat it because there was no seconds. You know what I mean? I remember running around like drop the lollipop. We take the lollipop. Yeah. We put it under the faucet. The hose outside, the rubber hose.
Yeah, the YouTube police are going to be knocking on your door, John. They're coming for you.
I have, maybe not. I was going to say something that I shouldn't say, but
You're making that pizza look awful damn good, brother. Not gonna lie.
This pizzeria is Paisano's Pizza. It's down the block. When you first get it, it's delicious. As soon as it cools down, it turns into garbage. So that's why I'm not waiting. Like
What is the ideal pizza? Go.
a plain cheese pizza is the best.
Oh, Jesus
Yeah, from New
Christ.
York. Yeah. New
A
York.
plain cheese pizza is the best. My wife put mushrooms on it because we don't do that too often, and she ordered and paid for it and surprised me. So what am I going to do? Fight?
Well, because $5 was going to that fallen cop.
Oh, okay. That's why. Because tonight, $5 for every pizza that we bought from this place goes to that cop who was just killed. So
Yeah.
that I forgot. My wife said we were getting pizza tonight.
There was a great, it was a chain, but it wasn't. They only had like 5 or 6 stores, franchise. Shakey's Pizza back in the
I remember
70s.
Shakey's.
You know, my
Yeah,
wife said she remembers
Up
Shakey's.
in Canada.
Back in the 70s. Best pizza I've ever had in my life. It's never been rivaled, not even close. It was one of those places you went in, you sat down. There's a guy playing the piano in the corner. They're wearing
that's
straw
awesome.
hats. You know, they're showing the old Charlie Chaplin movies up on the screens, and that pizza was amazing. So I developed a taste then, and I keep it to this day. I need a thin, crispy crust
Yes,
with sausage, extra cheese, and onion, and don't put a fucking thing else on it.
that's awesome. That sounds like I my favorite thing is sausage, but I like a plain pie. Whenever I go to a new place, I get a plain pie, and then I like sausage. My wife doesn't like sausage, so we'll compromise with like meatball or
Yeah.
pepperoni or something like that.
Got to have that onion on there though to give it that little
Yeah,
crunch.
normally I'm surprised she didn't, but normally we get she likes mushroom and onion, and she likes pepperoni, but I'm okay with pepperoni.
Dollars.
Once in a while, I crave pepperoni, but not a lot. Oh, John,
Yeah.
what did I say wrong, Dan? What did I say? I was a part owner of a pizzeria in my 20s. I'm a pizza snob. And every time I walk into a pizzeria, I just want to push the guy out of the way, spin it in the air, because I haven't done that.
Oh, there's a New York style by the slice place here called, ironically, Slices. And I'm here to tell you, man, they do it right. So I'll go in there and I'll place the same order I just told you. But I'll order a slice. Well, that slice is as big as a pizza you're going to get from like Domino's.
Yeah, like a
or whatever.
flipper.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's fantastic.
A diff-
How Deer says pepperoni, jalapeno, minced garlic, and anchovies are a few of his favorite toppings. All right.
I want to address this. The Farrah's in Brooklyn. Oh my God! I just realized at 8:30 I gotta go to comic book team up, so we'll finish up here. But I enjoyed the conversation.
Same.
My buddy took me to the Farrah's. We went to Joe Koch's comic book warehouse. It's in Brooklyn. You know, they advertise in the comics, so we went there, and it's just a huge, insane amount of comic books. It's overwhelming. We spent the entire day, and then we went to the Farrah's. And you go to the Farrah's, and there's a little old 88-year-old man making one pizza at a time. His hot
There it
plate
is.
orders are taking your orders, and then they just stand there and wait for him. He's the only one. So you order a pizza and you wait in the pizzeria for 2.5 hours. And I'm like, my buddy's name was Mark. I'm like, this effing pizza, because I'm hungry and I'm getting grouchy. This guy, there's no pizza is worth. And then we sit down. I'm like, oh my God, this pizza is great.
Yeah. That's
Oh my God, this pizza is great. But I think he's since passed, and he said that they sold the name and the recipe to somebody else. And I was waiting for him to tell me it sucked, but he said it's exactly like it used to be, except now it's not an 88-year-old man. They can actually get your order done on time.
if you let me drop that link again.
Sure.
Effin is asking as soon as I find it.
No jalapenos on pizza. And anchovies, oh my God. One anchovy on a pie contaminates the entire pie.
All right, Effin in the chat there is the sign up page for the book I'm launching on Friday. A Damn Dirty Thing, a supernatural noir story. We're going to be launching on Dark Gift Comics Presents at noon, and it's going to go on all day across several different channels. And I hope you sign up. You get a discount code, and you get a one of a kind or a unique trading card when you later back the book if you sign up now. Because words.
And Friday, I don't have anything scheduled. If you have free time and you want to come back or whatever, gladly.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
I could talk to you. We talked about everything. We talked about farts. We talked about comics. We talked about pizza.
We
talked
covered everything cool. There
what
is
else? What else is there to talk about? Guys?
metal, rockabilly, farts,
Right.
beers, coffee, pizza. Come on.
Yeah. What else? What else is there? Cigarettes, COVID. There's nothing. There's no other. Guys, go to bed now. Everybody watching this, just go to bed. There's nothing else to talk
Your
about.
day is complete. We've
Yeah, your
covered
day
it all.
But
all of
I
it.
got to get going because I'm sure they're waiting for me in the stream, and we got do a little bit of prep.
Sure.
I'm going to be it's same bat time. Well, in 5 minutes on my channel, comic book team up with RJ from the Fourth Age and Adam Miller. We're going to talk about our favorite comic book runs. I can talk comic books 24 hours a day.
The Korvac saga is my favorite comic book run.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to woof down this pizza because it's delicious. That's the only reason. And I'm a slob. No other reason needed. Thanks a lot, Doc. And gladly, please come back whenever you want. And
same for you. We're going to get you on the coffee shop and have a good talk.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'll see you in 5 minutes on same YouTube channel with comic book team up with me, RJ, and Adam Miller tonight.
All right. Peace out, everybody. See you, John.